There we go.
I swear, I'm going.
Someone's found the fucking second.
Oh,
Yes, it's
shit.
elected. Get him. Can you unmoderate this so we can all access that?
Fuck,
Chelsea,
this is
you
gonna
ready?
be an unmitigated nightmare.
Fuck
This
this.
really sounds.
Oh, hey Charles, good luck.
I'm gonna need another fucking glass of wine before I start this shit.
Oh fuck! Right, I need to go and grab my charger. Or my laptop's going to run out of battery halfway through the podcast. That's how fucking long this has taken.
Well, we've been doing it an hour almost.
Fucking. If I would break down halfway through this, someone better be prepared to take over.
Where is this and where do I get it?
Skills and effects.
I click on it, but nothing comes up.
It might just be because I'm broadcasting it, only I can do it.
Oh, no. I found it.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Well, we can now give it a rapturous round of applause.
Thank you. Yes, I have returned.
Be nice.
Let's do this.
Have you stopped?
We've not started.
Oh, you definitely have.
Yes, I think that's the worrying
Come on,
thing.
Charles, clock's ticking here.
I didn't realise it was debuting today.
Fucking hell.
Right, I've turned my sounds off, so let's go.
Okay, you ready?
See.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 28 of the Out of Nowhere podcast. I'm your host this week, Chelsea Edgerton, and I'd like to say that it's my debut hosting, but it's not. We have tried and failed before, but that episode just fell into outer space, and you're never going to hear it, which is pretty lucky, I think. Joining me this week, we have quite a few of us. We've got Michael Allen,
Good evening.
Russ Poynton.
Jesus!
Okay, so this is going downhill already. He's returned once again. It's Steve Allen,
Hello.
and I'm putting him last because he's put all of us in his place enough time. So it's Oliver James.
Hey! Also, we'd like to you might want to save that for Chelsea, considering she almost didn't upload the past 2 episodes.
Oh, right. They did get uploaded.
Yeah, this weekend. 2 weeks after we recorded one of them.
Well, I'm not editing this one, so.
Oh, fucking hell, let's go.
Okay, so before. Okay, so before we jump into our Raw recap and the payback predictions that we're going to do before Sunday, I just want to address the big elephant in the room, which had me heartbroken, is Samoa Joe. We had Samoa Joe beat Finn Balor at a house show in Lowell, Massachusetts last Friday for the NXT Championship. What the fuck is all I can say.
So looking forward to watching this on NXT tonight.
I think that's what we woke up on all decided on that morning, was what the fuck.
Yeah.
I kind of wish I didn't know, though, going into it.
Yeah.
The video that surfaced of the crowd's reaction was just brilliant. Like, you could hear them, like, not even going to get to the 3 count, and just people literally lost their minds, and it was... I don't know what they're doing with it. Like, obviously my first reaction was maybe we're going to get Finn on Monday, which we didn't, which I didn't think was going to happen, really. But, I don't know, where do you think they're going with this?
I think they've just they've like given everyone a reason to go, if NXT's in my area, fuck me am I going, because they will change titles on house shows. I mean, WWE have done it occasionally with the tag titles, but this is the main title on a house show. This is unheard of.
Where mine goes on this is that I hope something awesome like this happens on June 15th.
How could you imagine?
Well, rather. If you watch the video that was put up by WWE for this, we had a few Undertaker Street getting ended kind of moments in the crowd. With the faces in the crowd just like, what the fuck has happened here?
Was there that one guy?
Yeah, there was that one guy whose face was, his jaw was on the floor. And it was beautiful. But it was, like Ollie says, it's completely unheard of. And Steve, what do you think?
I was very much like everybody else, quite shocked. But I think you've got to kind of assume that it's just all been a setup as to, you know, what we're expecting, that Finn's eventually at some point soon he's going to move up to the main roster. I mean, if he doesn't, it's kind of bizarre. I expect it is all to do with that and setting up that. I think if going by what the internet says, there's a plan in place for him to fight Joe in a rematch at the next takeover event, which is the beginning of June. I would very much suspect that Finn will lose that match, and then we'll move on to the main roster then. Because if it had carried on and he lost the title and then immediately moved, you've kind of got the whole thing of the whole where's his rematch and stuff like that, which I'm sure people still would be saying, even though they know that he's moved up to the main roster. And I think doing it this way kind of just closes off the entire thing. It's a bit shit for him to go out on 2 losses, I guess, but does that matter? I don't know.
It would make the eventual rise of the Balor Club a bit weak.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, my initial thought was obviously him turning up at Payback on Sunday, but like you say, for him to come, it would have been better like when Kevin Owens came up with the belt. Like having that gold would have just propelled them forward even more. But him having nothing, and it does sound silly like losing at a house show, because we don't get that. So house shows are very like second tier, aren't they?
Well, that's the thing with this. NXT house shows are no longer second tier, and if you look at the matches they put on at the house shows, you can't call them second tier in the slightest. I mean,
well, no,
the past recent events have seen Balor and Nakamura taking on Joe and Elias Sampson, but this previous one just gone was Joe versus Austin Aries versus Balor in a triple threat for the title. Like they're not second tier events, NXT house shows, like some of the WWE ones, I thought.
If anything, it's better than what we're getting on TV.
It is until we get out of the Axis tapings, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you get Finn Balor dressing up as Bayley, and I would pay hard cash for that.
Yeah, I think
that's going to be the worst thing about this, isn't it, Chelsea? That you're not going to see Bayley and Balor interactions anymore.
Well, I don't know. Like Steve said, like, but if Balor's still around at Takeover, and he has been confirmed for that tour, I don't think they're going to pull him. So I've,
They pulled Kevin Owens when he debuted.
but he hasn't debuted, has he? So I don't know. I think that the best place for him to debut is, I think, him to continue to do double duty and have him come up at Payback and interfere in the main event.
If he does come up as part of Balor Club, just because NXT seems to be defying the the recent times rule book, do we see a little one-off appearance of whatever they decide to call the former Bullet Club in NXT for a one-off to help Finn, maybe? Or is that just beyond the realms of possibility?
I think
I would.
Too much sense.
Yeah, I would have preferred to have seen that. If I'm being honest, I would have preferred for them to have come through and then, destroy NXT type of thing. Come in and take everybody out and kind of think this isn't big enough for us anymore. And the three of them come up together, and they're starting on, like you were saying, they're starting on that more of a stronger footing than what they're kind of going to be doing.
That was where our fantasy booking was, wasn't it? I mean, we all thought that Bullet Club would start down in NXT and then, like you say, destroy everybody down there and then come up and do that on the main roster. But I don't know.
I never suspected that we'd have Bullet Club in NXT. I just don't think it works for that kind of dominance down there. I just thought as soon as Bullet Club is ready to go, it would be on the main roster. I think the only thing that's holding it back is whether or not when we get Balor up there. But I just I hope I said with you, Charles. I hope that Balor appears at Payback.
Yeah.
But it all just seems a bit too rushed. If he did, assumedly to go against then AJ Styles, but it just seems a bit too rushed for my liking.
They do seem to be rushing a lot, really, don't they? I mean, we'll talk about it in a minute, but with the whole Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn thing, like that seems to have just been pushed into everybody's faces. I mean,
I wouldn't say.
we'll
get onto that later, I'm sure.
Yeah. But anyway, talking about the main roster, let's move on to what happened on Raw. Shane O'Mac opened the show, interrupted by Steph. I was convinced that we'd get Triple H as well, but unfortunately dreams don't come true. But they talked about Payback, and we got told that at Payback on Sunday, Vince will decide who finally takes control of Raw. To me, that is just screaming in my face that what the fuck did we have that match at Mania for? Like, at this point, there is no point in Undertaker being at WrestleMania.
Nope, no arguments.
There's nothing really to say, is there? I think we all really do need to, like the whole entire WWE universe just needs to forget WrestleMania happened.
Yeah, definitely. But what do you think going forward? What do you think that Vince is going to come to a decision? I mean, for me, I think this is screaming brand split. Like,
one gets SmackDown, one gets Raw.
Yeah. I'm not sure which way around it's going to be. I mean, logically, you'd think Vince would give SmackDown to Shane.
But Trish running the NXT kind of thing would be better. I don't know if that's the way you go, but I'm really just hoping for a complete bait and switch, and it's just someone completely different. Completely. Get Bischoff back, get Heyman running it. Go back to the old days.
But if Shane disappears, that just makes it even worse, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. But, this is WWE.
I think at this point it's one of those storylines where we just go, logic has gone out the window and it doesn't matter, and we aren't meant to look at it that in depth, which I know is not what you want to be doing when it's a TV show that you following week in, week out, year on year. Like, hang on, plot hole. But this is WWE, they're prone to doing stuff like this. Like, no, you just focus on what's being shown on TV and just forget about the rest of the stuff
They are
What?
winging it at the moment, aren't they? Since WrestleMania, you have that feel that they're completely winging,
I don't think they're winging it. I just think
winging
they've got
everything.
clearly something didn't work. Let's try something else. Something what?
I've got one question through this whole storyline, and I still want to know what's in that lockbox.
Yeah, because Shane lost the match, wasn't that part of the agreement that got binned off?
Yeah,
There was also the agreement that he won't be part of Raw, but here we are.
Yeah, fair point.
and to be honest, I'm happy to have the gaping plot hole in the whole of this storyline because it's meant for 4 weeks of very good Raws, which is not something I can say we've had for quite some time.
But also, we already know what's in the lockbox as well. It's a Jeremy Kyle envelope with who's actually Vince's child.
Yeah, the next
That's better than what I said last time.
next special guest on Raw is Jeremy Kyle. That would be.
Yeah, fucking Dr. Phil, so it wouldn't be too far off.
Jerry.
I'm not sure. Really sure what the sort of plan is. I mean, if we were talking about, I still think that they're going to try and line up an Authority versus Shane sort of feud. I think that's the way that they're going to go. Whether it's a brand split or not, I don't know. But
That's what I really wanted to see happen. But I don't know. I think the fact it was just Steph that came out, and I think Triple H would be a key player, obviously, in that feud. But I think, yeah, the best way for them to continue that now is to obviously give Shane SmackDown and Raw, and then have them clash that way. Like, have people side with Shane, have people side with Trips, and go at it that way.
well,
See, I thought that could be an absolute possibility, but so I was looking at the pay-per-views that are upcoming and whether or not you could put it in a way that it's one versus the other.
Yeah.
But the only really one that you could do that on as the name of a show is Battleground, which could make sense, or Survivor Series, but they're July and November time, so
I think we're going to get this.
that's nothing to go by.
Like, I think they're holding off on Triple H because if you look at it in terms of Triple H as a character on the show, the last time we saw him was when he's flat on his back losing to Roman Reigns. He lost his title to Roman Reigns. So surely the first thing on Trips' mind is
Rematch.
wanting the title back.
Are we going to get a rematch though? I don't think
we are.
No.
I'm just thinking in terms of their characters. Steph's always been involved in the Authority and controlling Raw bit, and Trips has lately been out on the title. So to Trips to just jump straight over to the Authority bit and
Sunday is advertised as Steph versus Shane, isn't it? It's there's no that it's who's going to have charge. Is it Stephanie or is it Shane? There's no.
I think it's too soon for Trips to go into an Authority angle so soon after losing his title, and we're going to get, like I said, the slow build to Trips' involvement, and as Mike hinted, possibly suggested at the involvement of NXT, because I think that's something that quite a lot of people have fantasy booked is Shane with Raw, Steph with SmackDown, Triple H with NXT.
And they have kind of, the last few weeks, as you said, we've had some really great shows, and if you have kind of seen certain wrestlers have sided on Shane's side, and there's wrestlers that have gone on the sort of the Authority side, and that Shane isn't doing a good job. So you have kind of got that in place there. You could kind of work out who would go where. So if that's what they are planning, they've definitely put the work in. You can see there's certain ones who would follow Shane to SmackDown, and those that would stay on Raw would stay.
Problem with that though is that it's basically.
I suppose then you're just gonna have. Yeah, I was just gonna say you're kind of just gonna have a goodie side and a baddie side.
You're gonna call it the light and dark side. Get some hokey religion involved. Give him a laser sword. I don't know. That's an idea, right?
Is it a coincidence that we've had 4 good Raws and we've not seen Ryback, Big Show, Kane, any of them on a Raw since WrestleMania?
No, it's not a coincidence.
You're telling me having wrestlers who can wrestle is good for wrestling? I don't know about that. I'm buying on that one.
Okay, so right, moving on to another wrestler that we should have not seen since WrestleMania. Sheamus took on AJ Styles. AJ Styles obviously picked up the win with this phenomenal forearm once again, only to have Anderson and Gallows come out debuting their ring gear, which I think the first time I saw it, I really wasn't. I don't. I'm still a bit iffy on it. Still a bit 50-50. But it wasn't a bad match. I mean, as much as fuck Sheamus, he's not the worst in-ring competitor, and I don't think we've seen them wrestle before, have we?
Nope.
So it was a good match. I mean, it was very predictable, but to have Anderson and Gallows come out at the end to congratulate him, and for me, it's screaming that they're gonna turn on him because they're putting so much focus on them being like, oh yeah, well done, well done, well done, and it's all just gonna come to shreds on Sunday, I think. But what did you guys think of the match? For people that have actually watched Raw this week.
I enjoyed it. It's like, it's Sheamus. If you put him in a match with someone who hits hard, he's going to have a good match, and that's what AJ Styles does after his 2 years in Japan, is he hits as hard as any of them. So, of course, it was going to be more of a brawly than a wrestling type match. And, yeah, no, it was good. And it was interesting they actually brought out Gallows and Anderson beforehand, before they actually made their Raw debut.
Yeah.
But no, I liked it, and yeah, there seems to be definitely hinting at the double turn coming on a Payback. But I'm all for it. Like, it may be easy to predict, but it's a storyline that I'm happy to be like, yeah, I'm just gonna let this happen and watch it.
Steve, I think you're the only other person that's actually watched Raw this week. So do you have an opinion?
Oh, I've seen this.
Oh, had you not fallen asleep before then?
No, I was awake at this point.
I'm surprised it was the first bloody match.
No, well, Michael fell asleep.
I'm very talented at falling asleep, alright?
Very talented. Very talented.
I think what
That's a weird little interjection there.
I'll just carry on. I think I kind of agree with what Ollie said there a bit. With what I think the match sort of served its purpose. I think in that it showed that AJ is able to go, not just go in there with your wrestler types like Jericho. That he can go against a wrestler who is just all power and no sort of technical side, because that's literally how he's going to have to wrestle on. That's what he's going to be up against on Sunday. So from that point of view, I think it definitely it did what it was supposed to. I felt it went. It wasn't the only match that I felt went on a long time. It seemed like all the matches were given more time than they probably should have had this week. I don't know whether that was just me, whether I was watching it and was a bit, tired and it seemed to be dragging or not. I don't know, but it seemed to go on a few minutes too much for me. But I liked the interjection from Gallows and Anderson, and I think we're just going to keep seeing that, aren't we, all the way through. I'm still unsure on whether we're going to see this turn at Payback. I mean, they've been rushing. Well, we've already discussed how they've been rushing things. I would feel it'd be quite rushed if they sort of did a turn straight away. You would also then surely have to bring Finn up immediately, wouldn't you? And I don't think that's what they've got in mind.
It depends to what the turn is.
Yeah, I think that's what I thought. I mean, with Finn losing and Payback, and he just ran the corner, and we are getting this kind of tease of AJ Styles and Anderson and Gallows. Like, for me, even though it would be rushed, like, Finn is the only reason that wouldn't be a bad thing, I think.
Well, and also it's the alternative. Not if AJ has Gallows and Anderson on side, how do they get Roman out of this with the belt if they don't want him to drop it yet? Because if it's Anderson, Gallows and AJ teaming up on Roman Reigns, they can't have him fucking Superman punching everyone winning against AJ without the building getting
Oh,
down.
Russ.
So,
We'll get that to later, trust me. But for me, I think I have to disagree slightly on that. It feels rushed. I think I think it's kind of going at the right pace for what they want to do, and I think that definitely is them coming away like in Gallows and Candice and putting him there. It very much depends on who they're doing it for. Is it for themselves or is it for a third person? And if it's a Balor, I don't think we'll actually see Balor until maybe a couple of weeks down the line after Payback. Maybe the next night or a couple of Raws afterwards. We see Balor, they did it for Balor, as it were. They could just allude to a third man. Or they could do what I was hinting at for the past few episodes, is it's a Roman Reigns heel turn.
Don't. Ollie, Ollie, we are not allowed to talk about this. We are not allowed. It will give me nightmares.
I think the safest option that's coming away from this is that the two Gallows and Anderson are getting involved, and they're not going to turn AJ heel, because I don't see the point of.
No, I think
it turning AJ heel. I agree, is very rushed and too soon.
For me, I think the only reason that we're going to get this turn straight away is because the main event of Payback, we've got Roman Reigns versus AJ Styles, and Roman Reigns is going to win. And if AJ Styles loses clean, then that arena is just going to riot like people have never rioted before.
It's in Chicago, isn't it?
Yeah,
Awesome.
I think it is. So that is my reasoning for why I think it's going to happen so soon. Is because we can't allow Roman to get the clean win, because, like I say, people will not stand for that more than, and he will be hated like never before.
Just to play WWE's advocate, they don't give a shit what people like.
He's left an arena of 100,000 people.
I completely agree with that, and the thing is, at this stage, what does it matter if they boo him out of the arena, because they're doing it anyway?
Yeah, that's.
Well, he's not a good guy.
Exactly. He's not a bad guy. I don't know what the rest of that is. How's it end?
I don't know. I haven't heard it enough, to be honest.
Yeah. I don't. Who suggested that AJ was going to go heel? That ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. But alternatively, if he doesn't go heel, eventually that means that the Balor Club will be heel. Which will be interesting, because I imagine that Finn, in fact I don't imagine, I know for a fact that Finn is a top merchandise seller on their website. And that plays heavily into their thinking of how to run people. Do you think they're just thinking that it doesn't matter at this point? They're going to be so hyped anyway.
If you turn
Finn,
with Finn and the Bullet Club, Balor Club, Good Brothers, whatever they plan to call them, that's not going to matter if they're face or heel. People are going to buy merch. You can already see Bullet Club shirts in the audience, so they were the biggest heels in Japan. So
this is going to be it. This is going to be wrestling for adults. You realise that? And Roman Reigns is going to have to quit. He's not in this business for adults.
But no, talking of, I think Finn Balor will be on, if we do get a Finn heel turn, and from Finn's heel work in Japan, Finn as a heel, I would take 10 times over than him being babyface. But it's just going to be like Kevin Owens. I mean, Kevin Owens is as heel can be, yet people just love him. And I wouldn't be surprised if his merch sales were up at the top of the table either. But let's move on. The next segment we finally got to see New Day and Enzo and Cass having a bit of banter in the middle of the ring, which I know some of us have been looking forward to for a really long time. Vaudevillains played their part, and I think this was the most I've ever heard them talk, I think.
On the main roster, they've done a fair bit in NXT.
I must have just completely forgotten about it, because I was shocked that they were speaking for so long. But Enzo and Cass and New Day in the ring, just that banter going back and forth, it was as good as I thought it was going to be. And it was a great little segment. I'm a bit confused as to why we're getting the tag team tournament finals at Payback. I would presume we'd have just had that on Raw and then had the finals at a pay-per-view.
It makes it. They're taking the NXT stats. You see it in NXT where they'd have the finals of the Dusty Rhodes Classic, for instance, or they do number one contendership matches on the pay-per-view. So.
But there again, it is only 3 weeks between Payback and Extreme Rules?
Yeah, so exactly. So that's a 3-week build. So they've got the number one contenders at Payback, and then they've got a 3-week build of the number one contenders versus the champions until Extreme Rules, and then they can go from there, whoever wins or loses.
Michael, what did you think with Enzo and Cass facing off against the New Day? Because I know you're a big fan.
Oh, I love them. Yeah, yeah, really good. No, they are good, really. They're very entertaining on the mic. I don't see why Enzo, Cass, or Vaudevillains for that matter, deserve to be champs, but
No.
unfortunately, I think it's going to happen, and I don't want it to, because New Day Rock. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I thought for some reason that this was going to culminate in the final being on the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
No, not the final. The title match being on the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I don't understand why this match didn't just happen on Raw. But there you go.
No, I mean, I think it's just. I mean, the past 4 weeks has just literally been like WWE giving us what we want. I think. And
But I want to see the tag team titles defended, and we've not seen that at WrestleMania. We've not seen that at Payback. We've not seen that happen for 2 pay-per-views.
Yeah, but I think this is different. They're actually doing a number one contendership match and trying to make it mean something.
Well, it is sponsored by Bootio, so.
And then you've got a full 3 weeks because like they would have had the final today, and then we'd be straight into the pay-per-view match on Payback. Whereas this way, you've got 3 weeks to build to the title match.
But do you really need 3 weeks?
If you'd kind of want that, like
Yeah,
some back
I
and
think-
forth.
3 weeks of talking between Enzo and Cass and the New
But it's
Day.
not going to be just 3 weeks of talking, is it? It's going to be, there's going to be other things involved, other matches, one-on-ones, stuff like that. Like, at least it gives that title match when it happens a bit more.
It's a title match in it. You've got to give it some time. You can't just give it 4 days.
It'd be less than 4 days. They'd have the winner today on Raw, and then they'd have what on SmackDown? A segment that no one's going to watch.
Yeah.
And then it's the title match.
But that's like any title tournament that we've ever had.
Yeah, that's what I
But-
think. I'm just speaking from experience, as in that we've never had that much of a build with a tag team before.
You see it in NXT where they have number one contendership
But
matches.
but this isn't NXT.
And then
This is
a build.
Raw.
But we say we love it seeing it on NXT, so they're clearly bringing it to Raw. Now we're complaining about it on happening on Raw.
I'm not complaining about it. I'm just
complaining.
no. I'm definitely not complaining about it. I'm just saying it's not something that I'd expect. And obviously, 3 weeks of having those two in the ring together is going to be good. But I mean, the amount of times that we've had WWE overuse stuff, and we've got 3 weeks, and then we'll have the match, and then we'll have another few weeks and a rematch. And I just don't want them to make Enzo and Casco stale. And I feel that they could do that.
Making a big assumption that they're going to win this tournament.
I
But
just,
either of
Do you
them is
really
going to be a
think,
big leap.
do you really
to be
think the
honest.
Vaudevillains are going to win?
There is no way the Dudleys aren't getting involved in that match.
Do you reckon?
yeah, I reckon the Vaudevillains are coming away with the number one contenderships. As much.
Diva-
The
Diva might
Vaudevillains will be the
try.
next champions.
Diva might try but get lost because of his lazy eye. That's still harsh, man.
They fucked up before with the Vaudevillains and Enzo and Cass when they put the Vaudevillains over. Was it NXT Brooklyn?
Yeah.
I can't see them making the same mistake twice.
But Enzo and Cass's story is them being the underdogs. So you
And
got
losing
Yeah, but,
every
yeah, but
match.
underdogs have to have at least one win at some point, otherwise they're just shit.
this is the,
No, I mean,
my reasoning for the Vaudevillains would be that if
Because they've got great entrance.
they do, but Enzo and Cass Enzo and Cass at this stage can probably afford to lose this title match and go into the number one contender and go into a feud with the Dudleys and still have what they've got. I think the Vaudevillains need, like, if the Vaudevillains lost this championship, it feels immediately that they would get lost, like that how they are and their characters would get completely lost, and we'd soon see the end. Like, I don't think they would last very long on the roster without getting a push, like a big push immediately, so that they can get into the faces of the fans.
But
Enzo and Cass are so far over that they don't need to go for the title right now. I would very much enjoy, especially with how Bubba Ray's stepping up at the moment. Into not stepping up because he's done it brilliantly before, but going back to that, how good he is as a heel. I'd be more than willing to see them two teams go and have a feud for a few weeks. I just think Vaudevillains would need to win this a lot more than Enzo and Cass do.
Exactly, and like the next pay-per-view after this is Extreme Rules. Enzo and Cass versus Dudley Boys in the table match. There's your tag team Extreme Rules match, and New Day and Vaudevillains can have a normal one-on-one.
I think there's one thing we can all agree on is that we don't want either of these tag teams to be ascensioned.
Oh, completely.
Completely agree, and I think that's probably the best way to analyse what I've just said. Like Enzo and Cass that are going to go down that route, you can tell without being funny by how the crowd reacts to them. The Vaudevillains could very much go down that route if they're not booked right.
But I even think that even with them getting that push and getting the belts, like they did that in NXT, like they won the belts, they were around for a little bit, but as soon as they lost them, they just dropped off the face of the earth again.
Yeah, the Vaudevillains are on the way to Jobsville straight away.
Yeah,
the gimmick's too heavy for it to last long enough.
I agree with that. I'm finding these wrestlers now with these funny gimmicks, such as Tyler Breeze with his model and his selfie stick, they just don't stick anymore. They get to the plateau far too early and far too low, and it's not something that's going to work anymore, I don't think.
I reckon there's room for the Vaudevillains to make it work. I mean, the New Day's a fucking gimmick.
But the New Day the New Day.
The New Day's got that irony about it.
Yeah.
They're on PGTV.
But it took them how long to get to that point? How long?
I know, but it took them exploring the humour of, the irony of their characters versus what they're supposed to represent. You don't get that with the Vaudevillains. Oh, the joke is, they act like they're from, this...
Yeah, but it can develop.
I don't think there's any development that can come from their gimmick at the moment, though. Like, that gimmick is... It can't get any better.
When the New Day first came out, what development could you see from their Preacher gimmick? Seriously, what development was there for their New Day happy clappy gimmick they got?
I was on board from day one. Just going to put it out there.
But no, okay, Ollie, where do you see the Vaudevillains next WrestleMania? Like, do you still see them in the exact same gimmick that they're in now? Because if they are, I just don't think that works. It worked well done in NXT because it was a small arena, and
there are tweaks that can be done to it. You can make them more sinister. You can make them more serious. You can possibly lose the black and white and just make them pure villains who, do dastardly things to get the win. They can be old school heels.
Yeah, but then Dash and Dawson will come up and just do it better.
Yeah.
It's different though. Dash and Dawson are about wrestling. Vaudevillains are about cheating.
I mean, it always annoyed me when the Vaudevillains were face, when they've got villain in their name. That always annoyed me. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, well, I think we've discussed this enough. Moving on to...
Gets a sniff of the hosting chair and changes it.
Well, I've got to control it, or else it's just going to descend. So.
Just like last time.
Exactly. Okay, but the next match, for me, was the best match of the night. We had Sami Zayn going up against Rusev. I've seen a lot of people give this an A-grade match, which I don't know if I quite agree with, but it had some really good spots. I mean, Zayn's moonsault from the guardrail was beautiful.
Are you missing the Carl Anderson match?
No?
Yeah, the tag match happened.
Oh,
the tag match happened before Sami Zayn.
Yeah, we've talked about that now.
It's true. They won a squash. Moving. I know that the tag match happened next because that's what I fell asleep during, I think.
Okay, just to go back to that match then, it was very much as we expected. Anderson and Gallows just beating them up. I think the only real thing I picked up from this is, again, the commentary team are playing up what these guys did in Japan. Like usually it's not mentioned, or even, or if anything, used derogatory. But I think they really are bigging up Anderson and Gallows really well.
I like how they're doing it without saying the words bullet and club.
They are saying New Japan, though.
Yeah, they are. That's what I mean. They've done it for the past couple of weeks now, and usually, like you don't hear anything like that. But I don't really know why they're choosing to do it this time. Maybe because they are trying to push them, and obviously if people are hearing New Japan, which doesn't make sense, because if I hadn't seen anything and I had them telling me this is what they're doing in New Japan, I would go and watch it. But that seems a little bit, I don't know.
I don't know, because that's a double-edged sword then, because then they go, oh, well, I'm going to find out what they did. Oh, there was something called the Bullet Club. Oh, Finn Balor was always in the Bullet Club. Oh, and when Finn Balor comes up and then they're in a group together, that means something.
I think all of this comes down to I think what's been discussed on the pod numerous times before. The fans know, don't they? The fans know all of this now. They've all got the internet. They're all watching all of these. They're all watching the indie companies. They're watching New Japan. They know the rivalries that these wrestlers have had in the past in the other companies. Why pretend that it doesn't exist?
I don't think there's no need to know, is there? Because they're not direct competition, quite frankly. It's not like down in Tampa. Or down in Florida.
It would almost be more confusing if they didn't mention it, because if you was a fan watching on the telly but you didn't know anything else about any other, you just solely watch WWE, you wouldn't have a clue what's going on, because these people would come out and the fans in the audience would just be booing, or not booing, they'd be cheering these people who should be getting booed, and you wouldn't have a clue. So I think they've got no choice but to mention it now, and it's stupid that they wouldn't do anyway in this day and age.
I was going to say, unfortunately, it's 7 or 8 years ago, this is exactly what they would do, is they'd debut them and they'd change the names completely, as they have done with other people, and they wouldn't make mention of it. But thankfully we're in a smarter WWE. It's the right thing I'm looking to say here. And and they actually acknowledge, other companies bar the other company in Florida.
Well, I think we've said everything we need to say about Gallows and Anderson.
Roman Reigns made him look like a bit of his bitch in the episode, but it's a minor gripe.
Yeah, well, Roman Reigns has to get over it sometimes,
That's Gallows, Anderson, and all the fans, and Reigns' bitches at the minute.
Just before we do move on to the Sami Zayn and Rusev, would you guys have preferred to see Gallows and Anderson hijacking matches rather than being in matches for the time being?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what I thought they would do. I thought they would have kicked the shit out of everybody in these tag matches, in this tag team tournament, and just wrecked house,
Because that was my big surprise when it was announced that there would be wrestling, because I very much thought we were going to get this whole... They were just going to sort of... Yeah, I very much thought we were going to get that. It's more of a surprise to me that they've now got them going on main event this week and stuff.
They've got the new attire, and they've got hashtags on their outfits.
SmackDown, main event, same level.
Whose idea was it to put fucking hashtags on their coats and jorts? That annoyed me. It was very really.
Yeah, it doesn't annoy me. That's the world we live in. Anyway, Sami Zayn.
But yeah, Sami Zayn picking up the win with a roll up, which.
What? This is news.
I mean, we haven't seen many of them, but yeah, Sami Zayn with the roll up win. It was a great match. Lana at the end was fabulous as ever, throwing her heels at Sami Zayn's face. But what did you guys think?
Sorry, no input at this point.
I think Rusev's been in the gym because he is getting shredded.
Yeah.
I'm really
making out with Lana
He's
upstairs.
been in there with Trips and Sheamus probably getting fucking geared up.
It is really nice to see Rusev back by himself. I mean, there are rumours, obviously, of the League of Nations being disbanded, and Rusev is probably the only person in that stable that I would like to see back up to how good he used to be. I mean, I'm talking like last WrestleMania Rusev, and having him by himself is the only way to do that, I think, because just being in the League of Nations, I think, really ruined him, and I think this match just showed again how great he is.
It was a fun little match, and yeah, I mean, it was a good win for Zayn because he's kind of needed them. He's not won many of his matches since debuting, and Rusev looked credible during it. And it's, hopefully, like you say, we can start building up Rusev and Lana back to the power couple that they were, and get them back on a tank again.
I think that's what we all want. But next up, we had a bit of a segment from Apollo Crews and Stardust. I don't think there's really much to say about this one, other than Apollo Crews just smiles far too much.
He's a smiley guy. That's his thing. Big jacked up wrestler who smiles. Yeah.
There's a great meme that I've seen. It's just him coming out, and it's just like, I'm just happy to be here.
That probably about sums it, right?
Yeah. But after that,
his standard moveset is still, I think, marvel.
It is. It's still got that wow factor. But moving on, we had a little segment between Jericho and Ambrose, which ended up with Walls of Jericho on the announce table, which I thought looked awesome. And the only thing I really want to say about this for me is Paige tweeted Jericho saying that submissions on the announce table are her thing, and that sparked quite the battle between them on Twitter, which I thought was pretty hilarious, especially Paige being obviously Paige knows her stuff. I thought that was.
I wish Paige being on Raw was a thing. Just at all, please.
Yeah.
She does need to get back into the title picture.
Just wrestling, please. Do something with the girl.
Also, I love in the world of WWE, if you do a submission move on a table, it means it hurts more.
Apparently so.
This is the same way where if you turn over a figure 4 leg lock, it somehow changes.
We'll have to test that out. Does it actually work?
The figure 4 leg lock doesn't do anything. All you're doing there is stunts sitting there with your fucking legs between someone else's legs. It's not actually.
No. David once put a figure 4 leg on me, and it did hurt. He was bigger than me. I couldn't turn him over. Otherwise, I would have tried it.
But after that segment, we got a match between Natalya and Emma. I think this one was a little bit rushed. I mean, Emma looked great, but for me, it was far too rushed. It was the only Divas match that we had. Sorry, women's. The only women's match that we had, with Natty picking up the win with the sharpshooter, which is it's a good, strong start for her going into Payback at the weekend.
It's just disappointing that we've gone from having 2 women's storylines to as good as Raw's been these past couple of weeks, back to only having a women's storyline around the title. The rest of the women no longer exist anymore. We've gone back
I told
to
you this would happen, and I told you that we've got plenty of women, and it doesn't need to happen, but it is exactly what was going to happen.
It's like they take a step forward and they just take 2 steps on a right back. And it's not, at least the matches are good now, and they're using like Natty versus Emma. They're really good. They've had some fun matches in NXT, and we're going to see another great match between Charlotte and Natty. But it's like, you have these other women, use them, please. Like, people want to see them.
Yeah, I think the women are the only ones that have really lost out the past couple of weeks. I think because like you say, we've had great Raws, but the women just week by week seem to have been pushed further down, and I really hope that that's not something that's going to continue.
Like, the title hasn't, but the rest of the division has, and it's just.
Does it not seem?
At least we're getting the women's title, and the US title doesn't exist anymore in the terms of Raw these days. So at least they're showing women's matches on Raw.
Does it not seem weird that we've had all this time building up between Sasha and Becky Lynch, and now they're not involved at all? It's just super weird to me that they've let whatever momentum that they had slide in a way.
Like, sure, I know
Because they are only just having. I mean, you could have nicely had a Sasha versus Becky Lynch little storyline going on.
that's exactly what I was going to say. Like,
while this is going,
like
keep
I know
them hot in the picture.
so they want to keep Sasha for SummerSlam is the rumor, so they're not going to start a build for until it's close to the SummerSlam. It's like, well, you do something with her in the meantime, and like you say, a feud between Sasha and Becky, who had a great feud in NXT.
Oh, my girl Paige. Give the girl some love.
Put those two in a match, and Extreme Rules potentially give them a stipulation, and you've got an amazing feud that doesn't involve a women's title. Shockingly.
Oh, wait a minute. I've just checked the WWE rulebook and that's not allowed. Sorry. Pay-per-view and all that.
But yeah, so after that, my favourite bit of the show, we got a sighting of Damien Sandow. I lost my mind when I thought we were going to get a match. Damien Sandow versus Corbin. The match never happened. Ziggler comes to attempt to beat up Corbin. Had a bit of a face-off between them. I don't know why we're not getting a match between them at Payback. I mean, for me, the Payback card seems a little short.
We will
We're
do.
getting a match.
It was confirmed, was it not confirmed on that?
Yeah, I thought Corbin versus Ziggler is happening.
Yeah, it is happening. I don't know if it's been confirmed yet, but it is going to happen, right?
I seem to think, unless I've just completely made it up, that they did advertise it for Payback before the Corbin came out.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Or was under the impression it happened.
Unless I've just made it up, which was possible at that time.
I could very well just be looking at an outdated card.
We were watching it. It was 3 a.m. and we were delirious. Come on.
But moving on from that, next we had another segment between Miz and Cesaro. It's probably the match I'm least looking forward to, I think, on the Payback card. I mean, I do like the Miz, but I'd be more invested if we had Zack Ryder versus Cesaro at this point.
I'm not going to argue with that. Yeah, I don't. That's what I don't understand. Why poor little Zack Ryder just got totally thrown by the wayside. I thought the Miz winning it after the Raw after Mania was fine, and it gives Zack Ryder that underdog feel again. But then just to be completely thrown off the stage, so to speak, it's just poor Zack Ryder, man. What does he do to deserve it?
I want to know what he did to just get that WrestleMania match. I mean, for them to throw him to the side so quickly.
Neville got injured, that's why Zack Ryder got chucked in there.
I think it literally was, do you know what? Mojo Rawler, you've deserved this, kid. Well done.
Get your WrestleMania moment. That's it.
Yeah. But it was really weird that they got his dad in the ring and all that involved as well. He just hyped it up so much, and then the whole Razor Ramon story was really cool and it was really touching, and then he's just like, no, we don't care about you anymore. No,
Let's
You
not
was in the-
pretend all of this was set up just to get Maurice back on the TV for Divas. That's what it's all been about, the whole thing.
Well, without the Bellas there anymore, you need something for the Divas, I guess.
Question. Now that Renee Young's going to be on Total Divas, does this mean Dean Ambrose is going to be on Total Divas?
Well, it must be, right?
I cannot see Dean Ambrose accepting anything to do with Total Divas
Yeah,
whatsoever.
but his missus is on there, so they'd love to get the couples on there. So
No, I'm siding with Steve on this one. I don't think there's a chance in hell that Dean Ambrose would even consider going on Total Divas.
I think if I'd have asked you this 2 years ago, though, that you'd have said same about Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, that might be, yeah.
If they say
Yeah,
to
that's-
Dean Ambrose, you can do X amount less house shows and we'll just do a few tapings for Total Divas, he'll take it because he fucking wrestled like 290 matches or something mental last year. So he'd
We'll
happily
film you.
swap the workload.
We'll film you talking to and kissing your beautiful girlfriend. All right.
Yeah, I was going to do that anyway outside of the ring, so you might as well film.
We might have to link a storyline into your shows every once in a while. It's all good.
That's the thing, they're very hush-hush about Dean Ambrose and Renee Young, aren't they? I mean, they always threw Nikki Bella and Cena in our faces, and Daniel Bryan and Brie especially, but nothing gets said about Renee and Dean Ambrose, so I don't know. I doubt we'll see him on there.
It's like a dirty little secret, though, isn't it? When you watch him doing the interviews backstage, or the one that made me smile was the one at the Hall of Fame.
Oh yes.
And I can't remember exactly what Dean said, but it was clearly a wink moment, and if you're not in the know, you're not in the know. It doesn't mean anything. I don't know. I don't care.
I think I'm the only one that's going to watch it anyway, so...
You will be the only one, because last time you made us watch Total Divas, we had to can the episode because it went so far off the rails, so it won't be happening again.
I don't know. Ollie said he watched a few, and Steven's watched it in the past.
Well, then the three of them can do a Divas cast.
There we go.
We're doing a Total Bellas cast, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Getting right on that premiere.
So, moving on to the main event of the night, Roman Reigns versus Alberto Del Rio. I think when this match was first advertised, we were sat watching Raw, and I think at that point I already knew that it wasn't going to be as good as the past few weeks when you get a main event with Alberto Del Rio. But obviously Roman Reigns picking up the win with a spear after Anderson and Gallows came out to distract, I guess. It didn't really work, but they came out, proceeded to try and beat up Reigns, followed by AJ Styles coming out and telling them to stop. Which for me, I think would, if I was Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, I'd come out to beat up Roman Reigns, and Styles coming to tell me to stop. I think that would be enough to make me turn on him, to be honest. But ended up with Reigns clocking Styles, and that was the end of that. I don't think that the match was anything special. If anything, it was just that final segment that really did it for me. I'm not sure about you guys.
By the time someone's finished saying the name Alberto Del Rio, I'm already bored of him. So that match was a really tough sell for me anyway.
Good job, Ricardo, ain't you?
I mean, he's fine, but he's just so fucking bland. I've got absolutely no opinion of him. It's just, kind of diverting from your point, sorry Chelsea, but I mean, there's news coming out that the League of Nations will be disbanding, and you look at the three guys picking up losses on the show this week. Like, what the fuck do they do with someone like Del Rio now?
I bet he's wishing he was still in Lucha Underground, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got nothing for him, have they?
Nope. As they've got nothing for Sheamus. Sadly, they don't have anything for Rusev either.
Well, at least you can see some potential with Rusev if they compare him with Lana, build him up to the the brute he used to be. But I look at Del Rio and I just think, what are you even for?
Did anyone see Wade Barrett's tweet the other day? After Raw, it went #lads. It wasn't good while it lasted. Sums it up basically. The League of Nations.
I saw an interview with Del Rio about the League of Nations on a Spanish interview, and he was blasting it as well. So I don't know whose idea it was, but apparently nobody wanted it. So.
I mean, if Bray obviously hadn't gotten injured, then I think they could have had a good feud between the Wyatts and the League of Nations. But unfortunately, Bray got injured on a house show.
Here you go. This is what Del Rio said. We as a group have never worked very well, so we decided that it is better to separate. I think Bray Wyatt is hurt, and all this will come to nothing. Fair enough. Say how it is, W.
Getting back to Reigns' inside of it, they don't like the little let's make Reigns a good guy, Make-A-Wish little moment they had.
Oh man.
I swear to God, if this is turning into a Reigns heel turn, that was even better. That was even better.
No, I really don't get why they pushed with the whole I'm not a good guy. Why the hell they're pushing Make-A-Wish on him? I have no idea.
Because he's not a bad guy.
Yeah, but he's not a
But
good
he's not
guy.
a good guy.
Yeah, but he's the guy.
It's like how to fucking make some poor Make-A-Wish kid get booed out of the fucking house. Jesus Christ, it's crazy.
Oh man.
Even
Bit
John
backstage.
Cena, to be fair, even John Cena when he went to the Make-A-Wish kids, at least they got cheered.
I know, it's like, this is my last wish, boo.
You like Roman Reigns, we hope you die.
I'm just glad I was live long enough to see you lift the title, boo. Fuck.
Step too far again, Russ. Step too far.
Yeah, I think it's time to get into our predictions quickly
Yay.
before we wrap up. We'll just go through this quickly because I think we've been talking for quite a while already. So the pre-show match, I think everybody could probably guess what it's going to be. But
There's a
we
pre-show
have
match?
Kalisto. There is a pre-show match. We have Kalisto with the US Championship against Ryback,
Yay.
which
This
seems
match
to be a
can
staple.
eat a fucking dick. I mean, there's been no... I haven't seen Ryback since WrestleMania. What the fuck has he done to deserve a rematch for that belt?
I
think
don't know,
it's-
but he's going to win it.
I think at this point they just need to rename the US Championship to the Pre-Show Championship, and just
That could definitely be a thing.
it could, but at the same
Network
time,
title.
well, it'd probably be the YouTube title, wouldn't it? Considering that's where the Pre-Show is.
That's pretty sure that's Zack Ryder's gimmick. Look at that got him.
But where do you think?
His internet title was delightful, by the way. It was really
What a
good.
nice looking title was it? Was
Yeah.
it with his face on it?
Yeah, pretty much. And it was orange and purple. What could you know?
But do you guys see a title change happening?
Yeah, Ryback will win because
Yeah.
fuck you all, that's why. And I don't know. Hopefully, if he does win it, we still don't see the US title on Raw because fuck Ryback, I'm bored of it.
Jesus, Russ. Yeah, Ryback's winning this one, I think. Just because they've done nothing with Kalisto with it. So it needs a change. Something
Yeah.
needs to change.
Yeah, something really does need to happen.
Like as good as Kalisto is, they've not really done much to make you really care about the guy.
To be honest, if I'm putting the plan out there, I reckon Ryback wins this, Cena comes back, Cena versus Ryback, Cena gets the title, Cena restores it to some sort of good level.
Is Ryback the Oath really the person you want to face off against someone who's just coming back from injury?
It's a fair point. Yeah, fair point. But that's how I see it going down.
So you
Yeah,
going with
right.
Ryback, Ollie?
Yep, Ryback's winning this one. Meat hutting the shit out of Kalisto.
Steve?
Yeah, right back, unfortunately.
Well, we're all full of enthusiasm for that match. Onto the main card, Enzo and Cass versus the Vaudevillains Tag Team Tournament Finals.
Vaudevillains are winning this one.
Vaudevillains.
As much as I want to see ENC win it, just to rub it in Mike's face, you need to build them. Enzo and Cass don't need it right now. They can go to feud with the Dudleys, as Steve mentioned, and yeah, give it to the Vaudevillains and let them have a feud with the New Day.
I want
Russ?
Enzo and Cass to win, and I think they will.
Yeah, I'm firmly on Russ's side with this, I think. It's Enzo and Cass. They are above and beyond what I think the Vaudevillains are, and I just don't think the Vaudevillains are anywhere close to even being considered for the title. So I'm going to go with Enzo and Cass on this one too.
Enzo and Cass wish they could wrestle as good as the Vaudevillains. So the Vaudevillains are going to win.
Dean Ambrose versus Chris Jericho, which is the next match that I have on the card. I'm quite looking forward to this actually. It's quite a nice little feud that they've going on. But for me, I think we are going to see Ambrose pick up the win on this.
I agree.
I wish this fight was for a potted plant.
Yes.
They could have had it. They could have had it for who gets the. They could have had it for who gets the in Raw show.
Yeah, it could have come in. Could have missed a trick here.
But I
Just
do
how they're
think
building.
Ambrose will win this match as well.
I'm going to say Jericho on this one. Just with how they've been building him, they gave him the win over Styles at WrestleMania. I still think we're going to died here. I still think we're going to see Jericho versus Reigns, so Jericho's beating Ambrose here.
I think Jericho he just works so well when he's bitter. He's lost and he's really bitter and he's calling you stupid idiot.
I love
You stupid man!
Chris Jericho is just the best Chris Jericho.
It really is. It really
I can't
is.
see Chris Jericho versus Reigns working at the moment, considering how Reigns is. So I don't see that happening. But I'm going to go Ambrose too.
And next, what I think is going to be the match of the night and the one I am most
The
excited
Miz.
for. I'm not quite there yet.
Oh, right.
We have Kevin Owens going up against Sami Zayn on a Raw pay-per-view.
Yay!
I have no idea who is going to win this one.
It's going to be a DQ shenanigan job, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we are. We're not going to get a clean win on this, but which obviously screams out Kevin Owens. But again, I think Sami Zayn needs the win.
Yeah, I don't know who's going to win, but I can tell you it's going to be a roll-up.
Extra points if that's true.
I think it'll be Zayn's via count out DQ or something like that. Owens will do his whole I'm going to wander off and shout at you on the way back routine or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think Zayn's going to win, but only by DQ.
I do expect some top class sass from Owen in the ring though.
I reckon this is going to go to a double count out or double disqualification, leading to some crazy stipulation Extreme Rules. So we're not going to see any winner. It's going to be a draw.
I mean, that's like calling green on a roulette wheel.
I like it though.
We've seen it happen. Like we saw it with Ren Rollins and Ambrose. They had multiple kind of no finishes during the feud that they had, and this is of that level. Kind of these two guys will feud for the rest of their lives. It's bitter, it's personal. So let them tear each other apart in a brawl, fight off into the crowd. Referee counts them out. They don't care, and they're just still going at it. And they've got to be a big pull apart with referees and all sorts.
I mean, I'm down for it.
Because that's the level of like these two guys hate each other. So yeah, they're not going to have a traditional match, I don't think. Or they shouldn't do at least.
Who do you think was going to win, Charles?
I'm going to go Sami Zayn by Kevin Owens being disqualified. I think.
I don't think I can really call it. But I don't think
It's the hardest one to call, I think.
It could definitely go either way, couldn't it? I think I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna jump on with Zayn, but I don't think he's gonna. I think DQ is the likely way he's gonna win.
I'm going to go with Kevin Owens' roll-up win because Sami Zayn needs to be patted on the head a little more. That's a reason, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for a good reason.
And presuming it is on the card, so I will slot it in. Baron Corbin versus Dolph Ziggler.
Corbin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be right. There'd
Yeah.
be no point, would there?
Ziggler's 594 match losing streak will continue.
I would love to see this match be not even close as well. Like I don't think they're going to do it, but I would love to see like Corbin just wipe the floor with him like he did the other week on
So
Raw.
I want to see him do an end of days through an announcer's table.
Yeah.
Oh, I could watch him do that end of days anywhere. It's the best. It's the best finisher in wrestling at the moment. It's fantastic.
I just like how he catches it. Like it could just be from just stood in front of him, or it could be from a reversal, or it could be from an Irish whip.
Some would say it could just come out of nowhere.
But
Thank you. Cheap plug, McFoley style.
So we all unanimous on Corbin on this one then?
You-
absolutely.
Just a
And
quick one before we get onto the main event. I just want to say, did anyone else realise that we've got 3 NXT rematches on this card from previous takeovers?
we do.
Enzo versus the Vaudevillains, Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens, and
Charlotte and Talia.
Charlotte and
that's the
Natalya.
one. That's the one I was looking for. So yeah, like we've got 3 NXT rematches. We've got a plethora of other NXT talent: Kalisto, Baron Corbin. Yes, you could class Reigns and Dean Ambrose, considering they were kind of in that. They just missed it, if you know what. They were kind of in NXT in the house shows. It's like we are truly well into the NXT era now. Like there's at this point you can't deny it. This is well and truly. It's going to be interesting to see how that happens moving forward for pay-per-views.
Okay, and moving on to the next one, which again I'd like to say it's hard to call. We have Charlotte against Natalya. We have Ric Flair, obviously, in Charlotte's corner, and we also are going to get Bret Hart in Natalya's, which I kind of think levels out the playing field a little bit. And I'm very biased when I say I really, really would like Natalya to win. But I can't remember who said it. I think it was last week. I just don't think it's going to happen, and it's really disappointing because I think if Natalya loses, it's just bye-bye Natalya, I think.
Yeah, that's not happening. So Charlotte wins. It's a shame.
Yeah, Charlotte wins for me on this one. And
Russ?
Natty goes back to looking after
Charlotte.
the Tyson kid.
I mean, this is something that was Bret Hart said in one of his Q&A shows about being at Payback. Did any of you see that?
No.
I mean,
No.
I think it's big. I do it to honour Natty. I have no desire to be there, no desire to be on TV. I'm happy to be there for Natty, but I've had wrist surgery, so it's not a great time. It'll be great to put Flair in a sharpshooter though. So
Bret Hart is just a bitter old fuck, isn't he, at this point? He is the saddest man in wrestling.
I think he has every right to be.
Have you guys ever listened to his podcast?
I didn't know you did one.
No.
Oh my god, it's basically Bret Hart just shitting on the current WWE product.
To be honest, he's never been the one full of personality enough to have even thought of him doing a podcast. To be honest,
yeah, it's interesting.
He did also go on to say it was sad about China dying. He thinks he should be in the Hall of Fame, but WWE never put her in there because of his relationship with Triple H. But that's for another time.
We got yours, Steve?
Charlotte, sorry, yeah.
And
yours, Chelsea.
oh, I'm gonna have to say Charlotte, as much as I do not want it to happen. But I think it is the only way to go, unfortunately. But moving on to the Intercontinental Championship match between The Miz and Cesaro. I think that it's with the whole Maurice coming back and things like that. As much as Cesaro I would love to see Cesaro with a belt. I think the only way to go with this one is The Miz.
Yeah, Miz is winning this one for me via shenanigans.
I thought I would be in the minority, but clearly not. Yeah, I would have been going for the Miz as well.
I think The Miz will win, but I hope Cesaro does, just because I think that he needs it more than The Miz, to be honest. He was on his way up, getting a bit of a push before he got an injury, and it's kind of stilted his progression again, really. And I think he could do with a run with the IC belt, but I also think that they're unlikely to have so many title changes in a short space of time, so I think The Miz will win it, but I think it would be better for Cesaro for his development, to be honest.
I'm going Cesaro because he's come back, crowd's behind him, he needs something. Why not? There
This
you
is too good right now to take it off him, I think.
go. I mean, I'll take The Miz winning. I've never been a massive hater of The Miz other than when he was the world champion. because that was like what. But I quite like the Miz. So if he wins, I'm not bothered. But I think Cesaro could do with the title right now.
And finally, on to the last match. I want 2 predictions from you. I want the winner and interference. Who's interfering? Will we get a double turn? Is what you think is going to be the deal with this one, and that's for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship between Roman Reigns and AJ Styles.
Yes, Roman wins, and yes, there is interference. I'm not telling you what though. That's it. There is interference.
I'm going to stick to my booking, which will make Chelsea mad. Roman Reigns wins, but Carl Anderson, Doc Gallows beats up AJ Styles. Roman Reigns reforms the Shield under Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson.
If that happens, then I am done.
It's going to be the Roman Empire. They're all going to come out in like Roman skirts and togas.
That'd be Ace coming out dressed as Centurions.
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
It would not be Ace. It
Roman
would.
Reigns with Doc Gallows and Luke and Carl Anderson.
I think it'll be Reigns will win via Gallows and Anderson shenanigans. But I also think that to prove that they're not helping Reigns, Gallows and Anderson are also going to kick the shit out of him.
Oh yeah, when I say interference, I mean no one's going to survive. They're all going to be laid out by the end.
So Reigns will win, but he will also get an absolute pasting. I think there might be a possibility that we see Finn, like some kind of Dick Dastardly figure, like, I've planned this all along, and here I am, that kind of thing.
Finn Balor grew a Simon Gotch mustache and did that. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, and came out with a dog that made.
Why a dog?
Muttley, you
Muttley.
dick.
Alright, Dastardly, okay, I'm going with it. I've just lost that completely. I'd lost the train of thought because I was thinking, do you think you could, like, just come up to the top of the ramp in, like, some sort of overcoat and kind of try and blend in with the crowd or something? Just be there, but not quite there.
Twisting his moustache.
Yeah.
Or instead of a dog called Muttley, he could come out just with like El Torito or Hornswoggle in a fuzzy onesie with some goggles on. And that could be his name.
Can't mention them on this podcast because my mind starts wandering.
What? What have you been doing on the internet?
It involves tossing off El Torito and with the Big Show. It's a weird podcast that never got recorded properly.
Thank
Yeah.
fuck for that.
Yeah, that was the thing. Moving on.
Steve?
There's
Reigns is gonna win, and yeah, there can't not be interference, can there? I don't really know what the interference is gonna be, but there's no way there's not gonna be any.
How disappointed would it be when it's actually the return of Kane and the Big Show?
I'm not as disappointed as I'd be if it was just a clean Reigns win.
Yeah.
So you'd prefer Kane and the Big Show interference? Over.
Yeah. I would.
there's
I
one more
will
match.
say as well, I really wouldn't be surprised if they did put Roman over clean as a final thing on that. It really wouldn't come as a shock at all.
No, it wouldn't be a shock, but I think that's on par with Anderson and Gallows siding with Roman, to be honest.
How fun is that? How fun is the pay-per-view review show going to be when that happens?
If that happens,
Well,
I'm not
Chelsea
even
win.
coming on it.
I will be running the pay-per-view show, and that will be leading this damn show, and Chelsea will probably quit by the end of the first section. There's one more match that we need to discuss at the pay-per-view, and it's not quite a match, but it's Stephanie versus Shane. What goes down?
Fran split.
One gets SmackDown, one gets Raw. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they
I-
completely failed in the match with the Undertaker that should have decided this a month ago. But yeah, I think brand split would be the most logical option.
Anything other than, well, no. If it's solely the authorities back in power, then just fuck off. Just fuck off. Because I can't go back to that. I can't go back to 20-minute Steph promos.
I tell you what, if that did happen, I think you would see these ratings that have been spiking down spike even more. It really would.
I'd be tempted to jack it in, to be honest, if it went back to that.
So these past 4 weeks have been great in terms of TV. Like they're the most consistent and best brawls we've seen for quite some time. And I don't want to see the show going back to how it was before WrestleMania, where you just weren't excited.
So, this could be our last podcast.
It has the potential to be.
Either that or the payback recap could be the farewell show.
Yeah. We'll just end it like Room 101. We're putting ourselves into Room 101 and never going to be talked about again.
But I think we have covered everything that there is to be covered. Obviously, Payback on Sunday. We will have our review show. Are we doing that Monday?
Yep.
Yeah.
No.
No, we will have that coming for you next week. You can give us your opinions if you want. I don't think we've ever had any other than Steve, and he's made it onto the podcast. So.
See,
I can talk to myself. I'll do it myself if you want.
We'll get on the podcast. That's
I should say that's not the case. I don't like other people, so you're not listening. So please don't. If you've got anything bad to say, tweet Mike. I said it last week.
Yeah, that's what you said. But I mean, that show's going to be a celebration show because it's going to be not only the best pay-per-view of the year so far, obviously, but also it's going to be Stephen's birthday, so we can all commiserate him together.
Is that how you're going to be celebrating his birthday, Steve?
Yeah, probably. It won't be much more exciting than that, having a podcast with you guys.
Yes, I'm sure in the Roman Empire.
So if you would like to give us your opinions or predictions for Payback, you can tweet us at OutOfNowherePod. You can email us at outoFnowherePodcast@gmail.com. If you want to talk to me, I'm FightCharlesFight on Twitter. Ollie, are you still just floating around our own handle?
Touch me on there.
Any good comments you can send to Russ?
Fine by me, at Russ Point.
Any bad ones you can send to Mike?
Yay! Bad comments at DjangoBob96, and I will respond to you and argue with you because that's the kind of person I am.
And Steve, are you still in hiding, or have you faced the world yet?
No, I'm still alive.
Okay.
I don't realise this man is Edward Snowden in terms of.
That's all the weird static that we're getting. It's the embassy. It's
that Russian spy that got killed by polonium poisoning. He's not actually dead. It was all a ruse.
Steve is hiding under a cardboard box. There is tinfoil wrapped around his head. He's doing this podcast on an Atari 96. It's just, man, this guy is so far off the grid you can't even believe.
Well, on that mental image, I think we'll call it a night. Thanks for listening.